Time is not merely a linear progression of seconds. It is a tapestry woven with the threads of triumph, tragedy, and the relentless march of human evolution. As the northern hemisphere leans furthest from the sun, plunging us into the twilight of the year, we arrive at December 17th. To the unobservant eye, it is but another mark on the calendar. Yet, when we peel back the layers of history, this specific rotation of the Earth reveals itself as a pivotal nexus. It is a day of paradoxes. On this day, humanity learned to conquer the skies, and on this same day, political storms were ignited that would scorch the earth. From the icy winds of North Carolina to the dusty streets of Tunisia, December 17th serves as a monument to the indomitable will of the human spirit. Join us as we traverse the annals of time to uncover the monumental shifts that occurred on this singular day. This is the story of December 17th. For millennia, humanity gazed upward, shackled to the terrestrial realm by the unforgiving law of gravity. We were observers of the birds, envious of their freedom, bound to the soil. That epoch of envy ended on December 17, 1903. On the windswept dunes of Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, two bicycle mechanics, Orville and Wilbur Wright, dared to challenge the impossible. At 10:35 in the morning, amidst freezing gusts, the Wright flyer, a fragile skeleton of spruce and fabric, did not merely hop. It flew. Orville Wright piloted the machine for 12 seconds, covering a mere 120 feet. It was a distance shorter than the wingspan of a modern Boeing 747. Yet in those 12 fleeting seconds, the world shrank. The psychological barrier that held humanity to the ground was shattered. This was not simply an engineering marvel. It was a philosophical rupture. It signified the transition from the two-dimensional existence of land and sea to the three-dimensional mastery of the air. The implications were immediate and terrifyingly grand. From that moment, commerce, warfare, and human connection were rewritten. The isolation of nations began to erode. On December 17th, the sky transformed from a ceiling into a highway, and the human species ascended to the pantheon of the gods. History is often dictated by kings and generals, but occasionally it is the common man who turns the wheel of fate. Fast forward over a century to December 17, 2010, in the obscure Tunisian town of Sidi Bouzid. Here, we witness a tragedy that would metamorphose into a geopolitical earthquake. Mohamed Bouazizi, a 26-year-old street vendor, found himself crushed under the boot of systemic corruption and economic despair. Following the confiscation of his humble fruit cart and a humiliating public assault by municipal officials, Bouazizi stood before the governor's office. Denied an audience and stripped of his dignity, he engaged in a final, horrific act of protest: self-immolation. The flames that consumed Bouazizi did not die with him. They ignited a firestorm of rage that swept across the nation. This was the catalyst for what the world would come to know as the Arab Spring. It was a cascade of revolutions that toppled dictatorships which had stood like monoliths for decades. From Tunis to Cairo, from Tripoli to Damascus, the status quo was incinerated. December 17th, in this context, represents the terrifying power of the individual. It serves as a somber reminder that the silence of the oppressed is not peace. It is merely a gathering storm, waiting for a single spark to render the world unrecognizable. Let us retreat further into the corridors of time to the year 1790. In the heart of Mexico City, beneath the dust of conquest, a sleeping giant was awakened. On December 17th, laborers paving the Zocalo unearthed the Piedra del Sal, the Aztec Sun Stone. This basalt monolith, weighing 24 tons, was not merely a piece of art. It was a frozen cosmology. It encapsulated the Aztec understanding of the universe, a cyclical, violent, and beautiful interpretation of time. Its discovery was symbolic. It occurred during an era where the indigenous identity of Mexico was beginning to re-emerge from beneath the weight of Spanish colonialism. The stone stood as a testament to a sophisticated civilization that had mapped the heavens long before the European arrival. On this day, the earth literally gave up its secrets, forcing the modern world to look into the eyes of the Ancient One. It reminds us that civilizations may fall and their temples may be buried, But their understanding of the cosmos remains etched in stone, waiting to be rediscovered. While December 17th birthed the age of flight and revolution, it also marked the extinguishing of one of history's most luminous flames. In 1830, on this very day, Simón Bolívar, El Libertador, breathed his last. Bolívar was the George Washington of South America, a man who liberated 6 nations from Spanish dominion. He dreamed of a united Latin America, a Grand Colombia, that could rival the powers of Europe and the North. Yet on his deathbed, he died not in glory, but in disillusionment and exile. His final days were haunted by the fragmentation of his dream. The political infighting and the vast, ungovernable geography of the continent had shattered his vision of unity. Legend holds that his final, melancholic words were, "All who served the revolution have plowed the sea." December 17th thus carries the weight of the magnificent failure. It teaches us that even the greatest architects of liberty are subject to the entropy of human nature. The death of Bolívar is a poetic tragedy, marking the boundary between the idealism of revolution and the harsh reality of governance. From the basalt carvings of the Aztecs to the wooden wings of the Wright brothers, from the lonely death of a liberator to the fiery protest of a vendor, December 17th is not just a date. It is a cross-section of the human condition. It captures our yearning to understand the cosmos, our drive to break physical chains, our capacity for self-sacrifice, and the inevitable heartbreak of unfulfilled dreams. As the sun sets on this day, we are left to wonder, what new history is being written at this very moment? What seeds are being sown in the shadows of today that will bloom into the revolutions of tomorrow? History is not past. It is a living, breathing continuum, and we are but the latest authors writing upon its pages. Thank you for watching, and if you found this journey through time as fascinating as we did, consider subscribing for more stories etched in history.